Good morning once again. My name is Lecturer Lawrence, and today we are going to start on the role of strategic management in supply chain, and we are going to look at characteristics and strategies of supply chains stages. Kindly switch off your microphone, Damaris. Switch off your microphone.
Okay.
Today we are looking at characteristics and strategies of supply chain strategies. That is what we are going to start with today. You can see that table on the screen. This is the table that is explaining the relationship between supply chain strategies and the various processes and the stages in our supply chain. We shall look at the relationship between the two elements, strategies and the supply chain process, and now what we need to do as purchasing and procurement professionals. Number one, you can see number one, we have unnamed or managed by others. As an organization, we look for subcontractors for another firm, adherence to requirements, and no value engineering. And the strategies for the organization, here you can see is opportunistic, temporary relationships, low cost or responsive. Now at this stage, this is where we are dealing with low value procurements. Our concern here is low value procurement. So this is something we can subcontract to another organization according to the rules and regulations of the organization. But here we don't have a lot of complexity. That's why we are saying no value engineering. This is something simple tasks that are not complicated, simple tasks that are not technical in nature. We can subcontract this to other organizations and we let them handle this. And as a company, the main advantage of achieving this is that we are going to reduce our costs. Our costs will go down because of this low cost. And we shall establish temporary relationships with our subcontractors as we seek to exploit the benefits offered by our partners in particular areas. And remember what we call subcontracting. Sometimes we are not good in doing something, so we take advantage of those who have the technical know-how on how to do this. That's what we are calling the first level of strategic partnership. Number two, production forecast. Now you can see this is different from the first one. Production forecast. And the characteristic of our relationship with others, you can see number one, internally focused and optimize manufacturing processes. And now production, here we are looking at our production processes. As an organization, we are doing manufacturing, assembly, production. Which strategies do we need to be better at this? What are some of the strategies that we need to be good at doing this? You can see here number one. Now this is something that we shall do in-house. This is internally focused. We shall have an internal outlook. Remember for the first one, we engaged outsiders. We did subcontracting, so we engaged outsiders. But now for this, we shall handle this in-house. And we shall try to ensure that our processes and procedures are as efficient and economical as possible. Optimization. This is what we call optimization of our supply chains and manufacturing processes. Remember, we are acquiring raw materials so that we can meet the demands of the production department. So we shall look at our processes. The entire supply chain process should be optimized so that we can be able to support the process of converting raw materials into finished products. That should be our strategic outlook. And number one, you can see here we have efficiency. As an organization, we can try to employ the concept of efficiency and effectiveness. This is cost reduction, cost savings, and timely processing of activities. We do activities at the right time without the time wastage, efficiency. We can also concentrate on the legitimacy of our processes and acquired raw materials. As a strategy, we can make sure that our processes, the manufacturing process, in support of the supply chain process is correct. We follow the right policies according to our company to ensure that nothing will go wrong. Here, we shall also look at the survival of the manufacturing process in terms of building the correct scales and measurements so that we can get the correct amount of finished products at the end. That is the second stage. The third stage, we have what we call project-driven. The third stage, we call this project-driven. And this is where we bring in change through piecemeal initiatives, through senior functional management, sponsorship. Now, remember, a project, this is a job that needs to be done in a company. A project has a start date and an end date. That's what we call a project. Sometimes, as procurement officers, as supply chain officers, we are trusted with the responsibility of taking care of companies' various projects, like the launch of a new product, the manufacturing of a new product, and the organization depends on you in terms of delivery and supply of materials. So that's how we can call it a project. In this area, you can see the most important strategies for us is optimization of the entire system. Some successive sub-optimization of the parts of the whole system. That is the main strategy for us, a company. Here we want to ensure efficiency and effectiveness of the project since the start all the way to the end. And of course, we are going to track the changes that are taking place in the project. Remember, sometimes we plan to do something, we start doing a project, and then along the way, things come up. So we have to adjust to the changes that are taking place in the environment, the things affecting our project. We want to buy materials, but then along the way, we have a few factors and forces, both internal and external, affecting our activities. And so we need to factor in the concept of changes and forces affecting our projects. If we adopt that strategy, then we are going to become successful in our efforts of optimizing the supply chain so that organizational projects can be a success. Then number four, we have what we call supply chain. The fourth supply chain stage is partner development. Partner development. This is where we respond to important partners, both short-term partners and long-term partners. Now, as a supply chain, here we look for the right people who we shall work with together so that we can achieve our organization's objective. Remember, we want to avoid reliance on just the normal supply chain. We have the normal supply chain. Now we want to make it better by bringing in the element of strategic management. Now we cannot do this alone. We need the help of our various partners. We need to forge strategic relationships with various individuals, mainly suppliers, so that we can gain from their relationship. We can come up with short-term or long-term relationships. And now here, the strategy for this. This is what is going to ensure survival for us and the growth of the organization. Remember, once we come up with a strategic partnership with suppliers, we avoid the short-term win-lose relationships. Partnerships encourage long-term win-win relationships. This is the best way forward so that the company can grow and survive in the market. This involves having shared goals with the organization and our suppliers. We come together and share our goals, and we work together to reduce our costs and increase our benefits as partners. That is partnership arrangements with the suppliers. This is a very good strategy that will ensure the survival and the growth of the organization. Once you work together as partners with your suppliers, there is the guarantee that the organization will survive, as opposed to working alone, working on your own. Then number five, the fifth stage, we have what we call balanced. It is characterized by synchronization of inputs and outputs. Synchronization of inputs and outputs. And the strategy here is extensive internal coordination and elimination of counterproductive behaviors and reward systems. Emphasis on flows, not stocks. Information sharing with trended partners, and make to order. We call this balanced internally. This is where we ensure that, remember, there's always a connection. There's always the connection between one stage and another. In the procurement process, in the purchasing process, one stage connects with the other. Once you identify your needs, then you do specification. If you identify the wrong needs, then you are going to develop specifications for the wrong requirements. Synchronization, this is where one stage in our procurement process depends on the previous stage. The success of the current stage depends on the success of the previous stage. So if you mess in our current stage, then everything else along the line will be a mess. That is what we call synchronized activities. That's the meaning of synchronized activities. So you can see we are synchronizing our inputs with outputs. This means, good morning, Judith. Welcome
Good
to
morning.
this. And kindly switch off your microphone. So we are going to take care of our inputs. Remember, our inputs will affect our outputs. If we have the wrong kind of input, then the output will be the wrong one. Remember here, our emphasis is quality of our finished products. Now, if the inputs have compromised quality, then our outputs will also have compromised quality standards. And that is the connection. We also say rampage in, rampage out. So we must be careful on our inputs. Our inputs will affect our results and the outputs. That's very important. Then we have number 6, extended integration. Extended integration. Here we look at multi-firm trust and cooperation and shared resources, cost, and benefits. Now here our concern is the level of interaction between us and our partners. This is what we call the integration. The integration of various processes and procedures, both internally and externally within the organization. How well have we connected the various steps in our supply chain? This is what we call integration with the supply chain flows beyond immediate customers and suppliers. How well are we connected with our customers? How well are we connected with our suppliers? This is very, very important. This is a very important factor that will affect our success. If we take care of this area, we shall gain more from our supply chain. Remember, we want more from our supply chain. Strategic purchasing. We want to get more results from our efforts. This will only work if we have the right connections and relationships with our various partners, all the way from suppliers to customers. And this is what is going to enable us achieve reduced costs and an increase in our benefits, plus proper utilization of resources, integration of the supply chain. And lastly, we have virtual networks. Here we are looking at information, connectivity, and responsiveness through minimum asset investments. Now, this is the element of technology. Nowadays, we cannot ignore technology. We cannot ignore the element of technology. This is a very good strategy that will enable us as an organization to have a competitive advantage against our market competitors. The use of technology to connect an organization. We can use technology to connect ourselves internally. We can use technology to connect the various departments and the various persons involved in the procurement process. Externally, we need technology to connect to our suppliers as well as customers. This is a very good strategy that will enable the company to survive in the market. The use of technology allows us real-time response to customers and the suppliers. In terms of communication, we have no delays, we have no waiting time, we have real-time seamless connectivity for the purposes of communication between us and our customers and suppliers, as well as employees, for the purpose of accomplishing our organization functions. This is associated with now the internet. the internet, the use of websites, the use of systems, ERP systems, connecting organizations with suppliers, the use of websites to communicate and get feedback from customers. So this is the last strategy we can use as an organization to better serve our customers, both internally and externally. Any question before we go to the next part? Any question before we proceed to the next part? We are okay. We are okay. Eh? Let us look at our next part. Judith, Anna, we are together.
Yes.
Okay, good to hear that. Let us look at our next part. We are going to look at the role of supply chain management in corporate strategy. What is the role of supply chain management in corporate strategy? Remember how we defined strategic purchasing and supply? Remember we said this is all about providing a direction for our company. This is a roadmap that will enable our company achieve its goals. Remember we said in our chapter 1, strategic management is all about creating the direction for the company, creating a direction for the company. That is what we call strategic management. Now, as an organization, we have our roadmap, we have the direction we want to take, we know what we want to achieve, our vision, the vision statement of a company. This is what the company wants to achieve. Then we have a mission statement to support our vision statement. A mission statement, we said, this is how the company plans to achieve the vision. These are the steps and actions to be taken to enable the company achieve the vision statement. Then together with that, we have the objectives. Objectives now, this is a breakdown of specific tasks to be performed so that we can achieve our mission and vision statement. Remember, that is how we defined strategic management in chapter 1. Now we know that as an organization. So now, what is the role of the purchasing department in a company in terms of the achievement of the organization's goals? What role shall we play? What shall be our roles and functions? And how do we contribute to the achievement of organization goals and objectives? This is now our next part. For example, a company's objectives can be to increase sales, to increase profits, to increase customer satisfaction, to open up new branches, to expand, to increase the quality of our products, to cut costs. All those can be objectives of a company, to cut costs. Now, as procurement department, how do we contribute to that? Number one, you can see we are advised that to achieve the proper balance in both supply and demand, or inputs and outputs, each firm in the supply chain must, at a minimum, coordinate the activities of its internal functions and those of its client it has established. This is very, very important as organizations. Remember, we are the procurement department. And our main role is to provide inputs into the organization's processes, inputs. We buy raw materials for the company. Remember, we cannot have high quality outputs if the inputs are of low quality. Remember, one of our objectives is to increase profits. Customers will not buy our products in large numbers if the finished product is of low quality, because the inputs were compromised. So it is very important as an organization. We need the purchasing department, because these are the guys who coordinate our activities. These are the people who coordinate our buying activities. A moment. Anne, you can't hear anything. And the others hear me. Am I loud and clear? Am I loud and clear? Judith? Judith? Damaris? Am I loud and clear?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. And the problem might be on your end. Try and refresh your page. The others can hear me loud and clear. And refresh your page. Judith is okay. Damaris is okay. And refresh your page. So that is the first point. It is very, very important for us as a company, because we need the purchasing department. These are the guys who coordinate activities, the internal activities and functions concerned with acquisition of inputs and raw materials. Remember, as a company, we might have the objective of cutting costs. We cannot cut costs without the input of the purchasing department. These are the guys who buy raw materials at the right price. When it comes to cutting costs, this starts with the acquisition of materials, all the way now to the production process. These are the people who will be in charge of cutting costs involved in manufacturing, reducing the cost of converting raw materials into outputs. This will also be the role of the purchasing department. So that is one very important contribution of the purchasing department towards the achievement of the organization goals. Secondly, each organization must manage the supply side of its operations, including forecasting, aggregate demand planning, master scheduling, material requirements planning, the bill of materials, production planning, purchasing, supplier relationship management, production scheduling, production, and distribution. This is another major contribution of the purchasing department to organization's strategic goals. The entire corporate goal. Our organization has a corporate strategy. We can help the company achieve this by conducting, number one, what we call forecasting. Forecasting. This is very important. This is another main role of the purchasing department. This is where we forecast the demand of materials. How many items are our customers likely to buy in the next financial year? Then we match the customer's demand with the organization's capacity to supply. through now acquisition of the right quantities of raw materials. Remember the 5 R's of purchasing: right quality, right quantity. That is very key. Number 2, right quantity. We need to try to buy the right amounts of raw materials to be converted into finished product to serve our customers. Remember, it will not be good for us as an organization if we buy raw materials, we convert them into finished products, but they are not enough. If we have a shortage of our products in the market, that will not be good for us. It will mean we are operating below our capacity. And we have the objective, as a corporate strategy, we have the objective of increasing profits, increasing sales, increasing the market share. You cannot do that if the quantities of materials you supply in the market is not adequate enough to meet all your customers' needs. Forecasting enables us to match demand with the supply, demand from the customers with the supply capacity of the organization. That is forecasting. And we need the procurement department for that. We cannot achieve that without now the purchasing department. Number 2, we have what we call aggregate demand planning. Now we have looked at that, understanding the quantities that our customers might be able to consume within a given period of time. And then we bring the ability to bring together the demands and associate the demands to a particular time in period. This month, what might be the demand? That's what we call aggregate demand planning. This month, what might be the demand? Next month, what might be the demand? And then we respond to that. Then we have master scheduling and materials requirements planning. This is another very important factor. Now, master scheduling. Now, this is a timetable. This is more of a timetable that we use in the manufacturing and the production and assembly process. This is a timetable with a breakdown of when shall we start doing manufacturing. Remember, when we are doing manufacturing, we have several jobs concerning manufacturing. So who will do each job, at what time, and how long will it take to do the job, and at what cost? So master production and the materials requirement planning, this is all about coming up with a timetable of the manufacturing jobs to be done, who will be responsible for that. This is the human resources, and how long will it take, and what will be the cost of doing that job. This is very important. You can imagine you are somewhere in a company assembling vehicles. Look at Toyota doing their assembly. They need to plan in advance the jobs needed to complete the assembly of one vehicle. Who will do it? You need to acquire the right employees to do each job. How long will it take, and what will be the cost? Remember, if we waste time and we waste the cost, we shall have unsatisfied customers, and the cost of manufacturing will also increase. Remember, as an organization, we might have the objective. We might have a corporate objective to reduce cost, increase sales, satisfy customers. Our customers will not be satisfied if our products are too expensive, because we spend a lot of time and cost in manufacturing. That is what we call material requirements planning and master scheduling. This is another key contribution of the purchasing department in organizations' corporate strategy. There we have the next one, the bill of materials. The bill of materials. This is another very important contribution of purchasing department in corporate strategy. Now, bill of materials, this is a list of the ingredients we need to make a complete finished product. That is what we call the bill of materials. Whether we are manufacturing or doing assembly, you want that smartphone, you want to assemble that smartphone. How many parts do you need? Parts, components, and pieces. How many borrows do you need? That is the ingredients required to make one complete finished product. So now, this is another key element in manufacturing. We need to understand before we even engage our suppliers, before we call our suppliers and ask them to deliver various items, we first of all need to break down our buying requirements. What do we need to come up with a complete finished product? Break down the ingredients into their basic elements, and then convert that into specifications so that we can be able to communicate appropriately with our suppliers. That is what we call bill of materials. Are we building a house? We might be building a house. How many rolls of sand do we need? How many rolls of ballast do we need? How many rolls of stones do we need? How many bags of cement do we need? How many metal bars do we need? And then we need to employ how many people from the start to the end so that we can have a complete house. That is all part of bill of materials. So now the purchasing department helps the company to understand this concept, the bill of materials, so that when we buy the materials, we shall be able to have the finished product without the delays or even excesses. Remember, in supply chain, we avoid two situations. We avoid shortage of materials, we avoid shortage of finished products, but at the same time, we want to avoid excess production. Excess production, it means we shall have excess finished products that will have no customers to buy. Sometimes as an organization, we make and produce a lot, but now when it comes to selling, we have no customers to buy the products. Remember, the company will only earn money if what we produce has a ready market. The company will not make money if we produce materials that will lie in our warehouses idle with no one to buy. That will not be good for business. That is bill of materials. And that is why we need now the purchasing department, because it contributes to the achievement of corporate strategy. Production planning, we have discussed this under master scheduling. Then we have another role of purchasing department towards the achievement of corporate strategy. This is now purchasing. Purchasing. This is a key activity, purchasing. This is a key internal function of the purchasing department that enables the company to achieve its corporate strategy. Remember, as the purchasing department, we are responsible for acquisition of raw materials through the 5 R's of purchasing: right quality, right quantity, right price, right time from the right place. That is something very, very important for us as a company. Remember, we are the people who buy materials, and we make sure that what we acquire is the right quality. Remember, if we have compromised quality, then the finished product will be of compromised quality. We shall not satisfy our customers, and we shall not increase our sales. We also buy materials at the right quantity. Remember, we must match customers' demand with the company's capacity to supply. We shall not increase profits. We shall not expand if we are operating below capacity. That shall not be achieved. Number 3, right price. Remember, and take note, we are talking of the right price, not lowest price. We are talking of the right price, not the lowest price. Remember, sometimes we associate price with quality. So depending on our organization's objectives, what is our target market? Are we targeting the high class, the middle class, or the lower class? So what kind of raw material do we need? That is why we say the right price. So that now our finished product can match with our target market. That is part of market segmentation. Part of market segmentation. Remember, this is very important. We want to support our corporate strategy, cost reduction. Cost reduction. So we need to acquire raw materials at the right price. Then in number 4, we have at the right time. At the right time. We want to acquire raw materials from suppliers just at the right time to support our company's operations. We are doing manufacturing, we are doing assembly, we might even be a retail, we might be operating in the retail sector, a supermarket. We want to buy raw materials just at the right time to avoid delays. Remember, we do not want a situation where our customers will go to their nearest retail outlet and find empty shelves. Our customers should not visit their supermarkets, their stores, when they are buying their supplies and then they find empty shelves. That will not be a good scenario for us. Remember, nowadays we have a lot of competition. If our products are not available, somebody else's products will be available. And once a customer finds your stocks are out, your materials are out of stock, your products are out of stock, the first time, the second time, the third time, they will assume you have ceased operating and they will switch to another product. Customer retention is very important, and it will only work if we take care of the element of time. So as purchasing officers, for the benefit of the organization, we must acquire raw materials at the right time to support our production schedule so that the finished product can be available to the final consumer without delays, thereby avoiding shortages. That's very, very important. Very, very important. And lastly, we look at number 5, the 5th right of purchasing. Now this is right price. Right price. This is very important when it comes to the purchase and acquisition of materials. Remember, as purchasing department, we want to contribute towards the achievement of the organization objectives, corporate strategy. We want to support our company's vision, mission, and objectives, our company's strategic plan. This will only take place if we source our materials from the right place. This is where we deal with the right suppliers. Remember, suppliers are many. Not all will contribute towards our corporate strategy. So we need to choose the right partners to work with. People we can forge long-term partnership relationships with. That is what we call the right place. Make sure the supplier you are dealing with is the right person who will enable you cut cost, who will enable you meet your customers' quality standards, the person you will work with together to reduce cost and increase benefits. So those are the 5 rights of purchasing and how they help us achieve corporate strategy. Right quality, right quantity, right price, right time, and right quantity. So that is another area where the purchasing department contributes greatly towards the achievement of organization objectives. Next we have supplier relationship management. Supplier relationship management. This is another area, a very, very important area. Previously, when we look at the history of purchasing and supplies, there is a time organizations were not concerned with long-term relationships with the suppliers. There's a time when companies concentrated on short-term relationships, one-off purchases. Today you buy from one supplier, and the next time you need supplies, you deal with a new person altogether. Remember that also has its downsides. Dealing with a new supplier every time, that's also not strategic. But for the benefit of the organization, to ensure consistency in quality, the delivery times, and the cost. Now we have the emphasis of building long-term relationships with suppliers. We call this partnership relationships with the suppliers. We also call this win-win relationship. The organization will win, the supplier will win. You cannot have consistency in quality and delivery times if every time you need to buy something, you engage a new supplier altogether. It will not be good. You will not achieve that. We shall have a situation where the raw materials you are getting, their quality is not consistent. Sometimes you have high quality, next in the middle, then next low quality. And remember, this will affect the finished product. Customers will notice this. They will notice that sometimes your products are of high quality, then sometimes they are of low quality. You will lose customers to your competitors. In HR, we have something we call employee turnover rate. Employee turnover rate. This is the rate at which employees come and leave an organization. We normally say high employee turnover rate is not good for a company. A company must be able to retain its employees, its talent. The same case for suppliers. As an organization, it is good to establish long-term partnership relationships with our suppliers instead of now having a high turnover rate in terms of suppliers. In 1 year, you have engaged over 20 suppliers. That's not good for business. It will compromise quality, and this will affect our efforts of supporting the corporate strategies, such as increasing profits, customer satisfaction, production of high quality products. We shall have a very hard time when it comes to that. So that is another very important contribution of the purchasing department towards the achievement of corporate strategy. We call this supplier relationship management. Supplier relationship management. And lastly, we are going to look at what we call distribution. Our last item is distribution. Distribution. This is another very, very important internal function of the purchasing department that enables an organization to achieve its strategic and corporate strategy. Distribution. This involves now the flow of finished product from the company's warehouse to the final consumer, mainly through our distribution partners. We call this middlemen. Depending on the nature of the company, the size of the market, we can have several distribution partners connecting the customer with the organization, such as distribution agents, wholesalers, retailers, all the way to the customer. So as a company, we must take care of this activity, the flow of finished products from the organization's warehouse to the final customer. We must make sure that the products get to the customer at the right time, in the right condition. We must make sure that during delivery and the transportation of the materials, the finished products, we must make sure that the finished products will not get damaged along the way. This is very important. Remember, sometimes at the factory, we can have a finished product of the right quality with no damages. But now during transportation, something happens. The customer gets products of compromised quality. We also look at the element of delays. We must make sure that we are dealing with the right distribution partners to avoid delays. And through that, we shall ensure that our customers are satisfied and our sales will go up. Our sales will go up, so our profits will increase, and we shall have happy customers. Our customers will be happy. You can see that diagram, the supply, the basic model of the farm. You can see on one end, we have the inputs. This is the supply side. Then we have value added conversion process. Then we have outputs, the finished products, now to meet our customers' demands. Supply originates from the organization. Then demand originates from the customers. Then we do value-added conversion at the center. Now this is the conversion of inputs into outputs. This is the conversion of raw materials into finished products. That is the biggest role of the purchasing department towards the contribution of the organization's corporate strategy. Are we together? Anyone with an issue, a question, a clarification? Anne, Damaris, Eunice, Judith, anyone with a question? Eunice is okay, Anne is okay, Damaris is okay, Judith is also okay. Good to hear that. Let us look at, as we complete this chapter, we are still going to look at other ways in which the purchasing department contributes to the achievement of corporate strategy. Now we are going to be more specific. We are going to look at the two main strategies that purchasing department uses to help the company achieve its corporate strategy. Two main strategies the purchasing department employs to help a company achieve its corporate strategy. Number one, we are going to look at something we call generic strategies. And number two, we are going to look at something we call resource-based view of strategy, RVB. We call this RVB, the resource-based view of strategy. And number 3, we are going to look at capability-based view of strategy. Capability-based view of strategy. So we shall look at those concepts. These are concepts that help the company achieve its corporate strategy through the purchasing department. This is mainly done by the purchasing department. This is a coordination between the purchasing department and the production manufacturing department and the distribution and the logistics sector. You cannot separate manufacturing assembly section and then distribution section. Remember, at the distribution section, we also have warehousing concept. How do we store our materials, awaiting distribution to the final customers? So number 1, generic strategies. This is based on 3 main areas of concern. This is cost, differentiation, and focus. Cost, differentiation, and focus. This is what we call the generic model. Cost, differentiation, and focus. Here, now a company, an organization, through the purchasing department, should ensure cost leadership. As a company, ensure cost leadership, whereby, in comparison with your competitors, ensure that you reduce costs so that your products can be competitively priced. Make sure that the company's cost is below the average cost of the other products and services offered in the market by the competitors. And the company's prices will be competitively priced if the company is able to reduce the cost of production, cost of operations, the cost of buying raw materials. When we have that in mind, when we take care of that, the cost of converting raw materials into a finished product, then our product will have a competitively priced compared to our competitors. Remember, our customers are price sensitive. So if we give our customers high quality at the right price, a lower price compared with the competitors, then we shall have more sales. We shall have a bigger market share. We shall even do expansion. And our customers will be happy because they are getting high quality at the right price. So that way our company will achieve its corporate strategy. Number 2, we have the differentiation strategy. Differentiation strategy. This is where, as a company, now this calls for innovation, the use of technology and innovation, so that our product can have unique features to attract customers. As an organization, remember, we are in a highly competitive market environment. We can take care of cost. Our product can be highly priced, highly competitively priced. The quality can be okay. But remember, customers are looking for more. Now this is where differentiation comes in. As an organization, be creative. Come up with unique features to be included and incorporated into our products. This is what will attract customers. Don't do things the normal way. Don't do things the normal, ordinary way. Be innovative and come up with unique features to attract customers and to differentiate our products with the competitors' products. That is what we call differentiation strategy. Then number 3, we have the focus strategy. Now, focus strategy. This is where, as an organization, remember the market is big, our market is big, and our customers' taste and preference is also different. Customers' taste and preference is different. And when we look at our customers' behavior and characteristics, it is also different. So this involves targeting a particular segment of the market. As a company, you can use price to define your market. How many customers are the high-end? How many are the middle customers? And how many are the lower-end customers? In terms of buying power, you can use price. The rich, the middle class, and the poor, in terms of price. And then as an organization, for example, this is an example, we can use price to do market segmentation. We call this market segmentation. This is where we divide our market into segments. Customers who have similar characteristics, we group them together. And then as an organization, we decide who shall we target. For example, now we can use price. The rich, the middle class, and the poor. And then as a company, when you make products, don't target everybody in the market. Will you make products for the rich, or for the middle class, or for the poor? As a company, this can be a good strategy. Instead of spending your resources targeting the whole market, this might be very, very expensive, very confusing, and then you have so many competitors. So at the end, you might lose track of your strategy. So choose one area to concentrate on. We call that focus strategy. The firm must identify the customer segment it wants to target, and then define the unique features that will be valuable to this segment. That is what we call focus strategy. Will you concentrate on the entire market, or you choose one segment of the market? That is focus strategy. You can see that in diagram. We also call this market niche. When you focus on one segment of the market, this is also called market niche. You can see differentiation, unique products and service offerings, and then cost leadership. Cost, where we come up with competitively priced items compared to our competitors in the market. That is what we call the generic strategy. A generic strategy. And this is mainly the work of the purchasing department. So the purchasing department will help the company achieve its corporate strategy using now the generic strategy. You can see how important the purchasing department is. That is generic strategy. Then we have resource-based view of strategy. Resource-based view of strategy. This is where we have the premise that it is only the resources of a company that create the competitive advantage. If the company possesses resources that are unique, then it can be able to create value for its customers. And the company will be ahead of the other competitors in the market. Resource-based view of strategy. This is where we look at the company's resources that can help the company to beat the competition in the market, such as cash assets, brand value, and the company's capabilities, such as the supply chain processes. If the company's supply chain processes are well taken care of, the company will perform better than their competitors. As a company, you have enough money to buy the right materials. You have enough money to buy the latest machines for manufacturing. You have enough money to buy the best vehicles for distribution. Then you'll be ahead of everybody in the market. You have enough money to hire the best employees in the industry. That way, you'll be the best in the market. This is where the company uses its resources to compete in the market. And now, as an organization, if your supply chain department is unique, you have a unique supply chain department, then you will be able to survive in the market and beat the competition. You will be ahead of everybody in the market. You will be ahead of everyone in the market because of your supply chain department. If the head of the supply chain department optimizes operations, then the company will benefit from that. Optimized supply chain processes. If the head of department engages with the suppliers, the company will benefit from that. If the head of department introduces IT and ICT, the company will benefit from that. Resources. We call that resource-based view of strategy. Resource-based view of strategy. Then we have the last one, the capability-based view of strategy. Capability-based view of strategy. This is where we create and maintain strategic edge in an industry. Capability. We look at the capacity of the organization to create and maintain strategic edge. We call this capability-based view of strategy. This is the capacity of the organization to execute a strategy appropriately. This is the ability of the company to create capabilities that are demanded by the strategy. As a company, you know what you need, but now are you able to come up with ways of achieving what you need? Are you able to create and maintain strategic edge? This is more of implementation. How well do we implement our strategies? Do we have the capacity to implement the strategies we have come up with? That is the last one, capability-based view of strategy. And here we have an example of Coca-Cola, the Coca-Cola company. The company has been able to compete in the market over the years because of the company's ability to ensure consistency in creating and maintaining strategic edges. Remember, you can come up with a very good strategy on paper, but when it comes to implementation of the strategy, you have a problem with that. Then this will not help your organization. This will not help and benefit your company. When you create a strategy, you must as well maintain and ensure consistency towards implementation of those strategies as demanded by the market. We call that capability-based view of strategy. Now, when we do this through the purchasing department, our company will be able to achieve its objectives, and the organization will be successful. Okay, we are done with the three concepts: generic strategies, resource-based strategy, and capability-based view of strategy. Anyone with a question? Anyone with a question? We are done with that chapter. Tumemaliza. We are done with the chapter. So next week we shall start something new. Any question? We are okay. I guess the silence means we are okay. We are still trying to understand the concept of strategic purchasing and supplies, and how this contributes to corporate strategy. So next week we shall start on a new chapter, if we have no questions. And we have a group for this class. We have a group for this class. Make sure you are in our group. If you are not in the group, share your number on the chat. We add you to our WhatsApp group. Our class rep is Anna. Ni Anna. Anna, are you our class rep? Brenda? Yes? You want to say something? Damaris has shared her number, and Judith, class rep, and them. Also, Brenda should be added to the group. Okay. If we have no more questions, thank you for your time and effort. Enjoy your weekend. See you next week. Same time, same place. God bless you.